And now we have another treat today. I'm pleased to be able to introduce Steve Flowers. And Steve is the founder and director of the mindfulness-based stress reduction, which we could all use, clinic at the Inlow Medical Center. Steve is a longtime practitioner of meditation and has been teaching MBSR since 1997. As a licensed psychotherapist in private practice, Steve specializes in the treatment of stress-related conditions, anxiety, and couples therapy. Steve also provides training in mindfulness-based psychotherapy for mental health professionals and provides fully accredited mindfulness retreats for physicians and other health professionals. Through his corporate programs, Steve provides workshops and seminars for corporations and also provides these same resources to hospitals, businesses, universities, colleges, and city, state, and federal government employees. Wow, you cover all bases, it sounds like. And he is inspired by the poet Mary Oliver, which I love this quote as well. And he explores the question, what is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? Please help me welcome Steve Flowers, one of our favorite guests.
I had no idea what she was going to say. The best part of it was that piece from Mary Oliver. There's a small sentence before that verse at the end of her poem, A Summer Day. And it is, tell me, doesn't everyone die at last and too soon? What is it you plan to do with your one wild and precious life? You start looking at things like memorial candles, and we start looking at our lives, and we start listening to one another, and what each one of us are working with in day-to-day life. There's many, many losses. And so here's Reverend Duchess getting ready to take off to Santa Fe with Don here. And she says, well, why don't you talk about gratitude today, Steve? And so here we are. What is there to be grateful for? And so it's easy to get mixed up with things that are fantastic events in our lives that are just these amazing transformative things. You know, there's this great liberation that comes from a marriage that was a shackle, and suddenly I'm free from it. Or there's a great liberation from a job that was a shackle and I'm free from it. Or there's this event or that event. And these kind of things are wonderful to be grateful for. There's also a magnificent event. I fell in love. Somebody loves me. It's a miracle. I'm grateful. I get married. I have a child. All these places, right, for gratitude. So here's when I thought about doing this morning, I thought, well, what shall I say? And I was reminded of an event that happened years ago. I was just leading my first meditation retreat. It was in Maui, of all places. I decided to start in Maui. I gathered a big group of medical professionals and took them off to Maui. Okay, I'm going to teach them mindfulness, and they can bring it into their practice. And 2 people showed up that weren't medical professionals from Chico, who asked if they could come, and I said, sure, you can come in. It was a mom and her daughter. The mom's about 72, the daughter's about 40. And we had a wonderful time in Maui in this retreat center up in the jungle, up in the middle of nowhere, far away from all tourists, from anybody. There's not a soul there but spiders and critters and rainbows and mist and flowers and giant palm fronds and up on this mountain. And it went very, very well. And at the end of the retreat, last morning I went out as every morning to get a sense of this incredibly sacred place filled with mist and life and sacred energies. And as I'm walking through this jungle area early in the morning, I see in this meadow the mom, 72, she's nude. She's dancing beautifully. And I hide behind a tree. And I watch her. And she's going from palm frond to flower to spider web to mist rising. And she's got a surprisingly beautiful body and dance that is just astonishing. And I watch her for about 5 minutes as tears ran down my eyes. And I slipped away. She never knew. And that evening, as we were closing, and it came to her to say a few words about being there, she said, I have just been liberated from a marriage that was shackles. I was held under the thumb of my father until I got married, and then I was held under the thumb by my husband, and he died last year. And this is the first thing I have ever really done for myself. It's wild, it's crazy. I've gone to Maui for a meditation retreat with my daughter. My favorite poem has been from Rabindranath Tagore, who says, in one of his stanzas, this song I have come to sing remains unsung to this day. I have spent my life stringing and unstringing my instrument. I want to express my gratitude for this event. She says, I woke this morning and I had found my song. And not only that, I found my dance and I shall never forget it. I am so deeply grateful. So what a wonderful thing, right? Here's about 4 years ago, I'm leading another meditation retreat here in Chico. At the end of this all-day event, a woman comes to me and she says, do you remember me? She says, I went to your meditation retreat with my mom in Maui. And I said, oh my God, that was 18 years ago. And she goes, yes, my mom was never the same after that. Our relationship blossomed. She blossomed. She became a wonderful artist and dancer. It was amazing what happened to her. I can't tell you how grateful I am. I don't know what happened there, but I will never stop being grateful for you, for that event. I don't know how that could have happened. I said, well, I've got a story for you. And I told her this story. And of course, she and I both wept at the miracles. And so here's something that arises of gratitude. And this is a great big event that's often shackled to time, and time is always changing. Sometimes we might go through a liberation like that, and that's it. A few months later, we drop back into the same old rut of being closed in. How is it that we come out of there and actually live this? What is it we draw from? My work is teaching mindfulness, moment-to-moment presence, being here for the moments of our life. Actually showing up for what's happening now. These are the moments where gratitude, where joy, where all possibilities, this is where love happens. Now. It's here, it's now. It's not what happened before, it's not later what's going to happen. You know about those kind of joys and happinesses that finally you're on your way to the honeymoon and it turns out the plane is late and they lose your luggage and it's not what you thought. You're exhausted. By the time you arrive there, it's like, oh my, I try to be grateful. I'm trying to be grateful. But gratitude is this wonderful gift that can come in the most simple events. And for us to live with it means we have to show up for the simple events. So last night I wake up, it's 4 a.m. I go to the potty. I go back. I'm laying in bed. And I start thinking, well, I wonder what I should talk about tomorrow. And I said, not now, honey. You'll have something to say. Just no, whatever needs to be said, you'll say it. Now go on back to sleep. You can think about this in the morning. I went to sleep, evidently, because I woke up 3 hours later, and I felt what? Grateful. Oh, I fell asleep. And I'm in the kitchen, I'm making coffee. Mary comes in, we're making the coffee. She looks out the window, and there's this beautiful, we live out in a canyon, and the whole canyon ridge was lit up with this incredible light. And the sky was blue, and this amazing azure blue. And we go out on the deck just to take a look at it, and there's a rainbow over the, and as we're standing there, it starts to sprinkle. And we look at each other, and I go, the sheetrock in the back of the truck. And immediately, we went to the truck. We got the sheetrock. We got it out of the rain. It was drywall. That's a very important term, drywall. If it gets wet, it weighs 200 pounds a sheet. It's wet wall, and it falls apart. What did I feel? Grateful. Oh my God, what a blessing. She saw that. And about an hour later, I'm driving here, and I look at the clock on my car, and it says, I'm an hour early. I got my time wrong. I got up too early. And then I thought about the sheetrock. And I felt grateful. So here's these simple little things that are happening. If we're going to practice this, if we're going to live this, if we're going to make this our lives, if we can actually show up for the moments of our lives, these are the moments where it's happening. We can't draw from what did happen. And it doesn't matter how much time we got left on this planet, doesn't matter. Any of the circumstances that are happening, even the most dreadful could be happening. But if I'm actually showing up for what is, I have a chance to see those moments where there truly is a blessing or not. So here's one. I'm working with a series of events. I'm leading the MBSR programs for cancer patients. And I'm doing this for people that have recently been diagnosed, or have been diagnosed for months. They've been in treatment for quite some time. They've got chemotherapy, they've got all of it, and they're bald. And I'm doing it for people in Alberta using online resources. So we got their webcams, and they're sitting up in their beds, and they're participating for all they're worth. And one woman, a very lovely gal, who's only about 46, as I remember, has come down with breast cancer. She has 2 children, a family, a home, a husband, a wife. And she has gone in, and her pathology reports, which are really the worst part of cancer. You never know how bad is, how's it doing, is the treatment working? And she goes in and gets the pathology report that says it's hopeless. And the doctors tell her, we're suspending treatment. And she would have thought, as she tells us later, that this was devastating. Like, how could I possibly tolerate this? And she said, you know, that what you were talking about it's wanting and desiring that creates suffering, Steve? Remember you were talking about that? And it really threw me off, because how could I not want to live? How can I not want to be here for my children growing, to be there for their marriages? How can I not want to have this life? And then I realized when I got this pathology report, that's not what you were talking about. And that's not what I was really talking about either. I wasn't attached to those things of living, being here. I was attached to an outcome. I was attached to this monthly pathology report and what it was going to read. And as soon as I read it and it was done, So, okay, how do I show up and come to terms with things the way they are? Isn't that what you said, that healing is coming to terms with things the way they are? I said, yes. I'm doing it. I'm living it now. And I said, well, she's telling all of us, and you can imagine what the others in the class or group are feeling. This is, to them also, the very worst report. And she's going, I'm the only one in my family that's not freaked out. I've discovered I'm an artist. Everybody said my sister was the artist. I was the academician. I became a professor. But I've discovered I'm an incredible artist. And she took the camera around the house and showed us her pictures. She was. And I've also discovered a few other things. As I was leaving the medical center a couple of days ago, I got in one of those intersections where two cars can turn at the same time, and I was dutifully waiting for my light. And just as I was going with the other person, a motorcycle shot between us, and I couldn't turn. And how could we do that with the motorcycle between us? And I got stuck in the middle, and the light changed, and I had to get out of the mess. And I was immediately so angry with that guy. He could have. What's he doing? What's wrong with him? He could hurt somebody. And a moment later, I thought, I remembered, Steve. I remembered. Between the stimulus and the response, there's a space. And in that space lies our power and our freedom. And I paused, and I had something else come up. The anger disappeared. I thought, well, I don't know why he's in such a hurry. Maybe his wife's having a baby on the kitchen floor. I just hope he gets home safe. I just hope nobody gets hurt. Hope he doesn't get hurt. And she says, I burst out crying, threw up my arms and said, I did it. I was in anger. I was in rage. And a moment later, I'm in gratitude. I did it. These are incredible events, right? They're amazing. Here's a lady in the retreat center. Here's this woman that is dealing with cancer. Is it amazing when you hear rain coming down? And we've been living in a drought for years. Can you not feel gratitude as you smell it, as you hear it, even as you drive in it? Can we actually start paying attention to our own minds? Because it is, after all, our minds that create the biggest trouble in our lives. Is that right? Yeah. Troublemakers, that's what they are. Our thinking is a problem. It's how we think is the problem. And if we can pay attention to our minds, this is one of the greatest values of mindfulness. We can see how we're thinking. Are we locked in this thing called time, which is always withering, that's always changing? Are we caught up with some kind of chasing desires, these things that we want? If only we could accomplish this and we'll be happy again, accomplish that. Are we caught in the past, going over it again and again and again, as if this is going to bring up all that happiness? Can you really remember the joy of that birthday party? Is that good enough? Can you really remember the joy of that event it's like it kind of fades in time, right? This is it, you guys. If I can notice the habits of my mind that get stuck in these pursuing of desires in the future or trying to escape, if I can notice this interpretation that comes up, that's another judgment, that is another fear-mongering thought about what's going to happen to me next or somebody I love. If I can notice that and not feed it with awareness, with attention, not water it. So Thich Nhat Hanh, who's a wonderful mindfulness teacher, says, he talks about watering the seeds of happiness rather than the seeds of suffering. We do this each moment. We are going to we can find ourselves out of these kind of attitudes of mind where it's like, at the traffic light. And every circumstance that we catch, it's my mind creating the problem right now. I don't like this. I didn't get what I want. Now I'm going to be late. He messed things up for me. Or we can catch it and go, well, I really don't know what's going on. I don't have to get into this terrible judgment. The guy that's behind me, that's definitely, that's pushing me, and I can't pull over, and he's right on my tail. It's like, I don't really know what's going on with him. Once I discovered it was a woman. She had a screaming child. She was obviously panicked. She was on her way to the medical center in San Rafael. I got out of the way. Another time I'm behind a guy. Oh my God. This is everybody drives 50 here. You're going 20. You're driving me crazy. And I finally get alongside of him, and I'm going to look at him and go, what the hell's wrong with you? And I see this really old man, and I realize, oh my God, he's just trying to get to Rayleigh's and buy some X-Lax or something. What's wrong with me? I get it again. I find myself out of these activities of mind. That I'm the only one creating, and that I'm the only one that has a choice with. This is one of the greatest values of mindfulness, knowing where my mind is. Putting more energy into what I do want than what I don't want. This is also the miracle of neuroplasticity. Our brain changes in relation to how we use it. Physically changes. And we develop circuitry that has to do more with happiness than with fear, than with anger, than with regret, than with shame, than with hatred. We are the only ones feeding this ourselves. So this beautiful song you sang that I thought, oh my God, I said, how can I even follow something with this kind of passion, with this kind of heart, with this kind of wisdom? That it's happening all the time when we start paying attention. Always happening. Even in the midst of the most difficult times. Now, I know I have no idea how long I'm supposed to be talking. You raise your hand.
You're doing fine, Steve.
Well, you tell me when it's time to stop. You guys, just guys, get like that. 5 minutes, thank you. So here's another scene. I work at the medical center. I work with a lot of circumstances, a lot of events. I get called in for amazing things and difficult things. And I work as a psychotherapist, and I'm daily involved with, flames of human suffering. And how to stay in touch with this love, how to stay in touch with this gratitude that I'm talking about, how to stay in touch with this joy, this compassion. And so my willingness to show up for the pain in my own life, to be there with it, to honor it, means I'm also more capable of showing up for the pain in other people's lives. My willingness to take ownership of my own errors means I'm far less likely to be judgmental of anybody else. Here's my friend Bob, who's a Buddhist scholar, a former monk. I don't know if you're ever a former Buddhist monk. You remain a Buddhist monk. And he said, I was talking about shame one day, and he said, in Buddhist psychology, shame and dread are considered the two pillars of humanity, the protectors of humanity. So this throws a new light on things. I'm going, what? Now I know this is all nuts. This can't make any, how could you possibly be shame and dread? These are like, He said, no. Listen, when you do something that you really know was a wrong thing, and it fills you with shame, that reminds you, that shows you've been off, you're pursuing something else, you've caused injury to someone or something else. So, okay. And if you come near the place of making that same error again, it fills you with dread. These two things are the protectors of humanity. Oh, shame and dread are good things. Yes. Oh. But do I live in shame? Do I live in dread? No. These two are momentary things. I get the message, I move on. Everything that comes is a gift. How I pay attention to that. So, The Guest House by Rumi. This being human is a guest house. Rumi says, every morning a new arrival, a joy, a depression, a meanness, some momentary awareness comes as a temporary visitor. Welcome and entertain them all. Even if they're a crowd of sorrows that empty your house of its furniture, still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. Still treat each guest honorably. He may be clearing you out for some new delight. The dark thought, the shame, the malice, meet them at the door laughing. Invite them in. Be grateful for whoever comes, because each has been sent as a guide from beyond. Be grateful for whoever comes, for each has been sent as a guide from beyond. So this is the wisdom of turning towards, the wisdom of no escape, of looking at my levels of responsibility. How am I creating my world right now, in this moment? As I'm driving, as I'm in the store, as I am dealing with this patient that is has a story that is brain numbing at the medical center. How might I actually bring this wide open heart to this moment and not get lost in the story about it? And I'll just tell one more story about how this works. 2 years ago, I'm called to the medical center. There's a giant uproar, 4th floor. A neurologist calls me and said, you've got to come. I said, I can't come. Where am I going to leave my patients? I can't just leave them sitting here. And I said, I'll go in the morning. He says, but they're crazy now. And I said, yes. We're all crazy now. We don't know what to do. Who knows what to do? I'll be there in the morning. Tell them I'll be there in the morning. And sure enough, he went and told these people that were freaking out, well, we have somebody that's going to come in the morning that can help. And they stopped freaking out. And so I go there in the morning, and here's this situation. It's a bad situation. The guy, they've just moved to Chico a few months ago. He's just retired. He's in his early 50s. They've come here to live near their children and grandchildren. They've got all these plans, and he gets a headache, and he goes to the medical center. And that was where he woke up. And he's bald now. His head is stapled together. Looks like a whole train set on his head. And she's the one that is really freaking out. They've diagnosed him with a brain tumor. They've removed the tumor to stop the pain, but told him he's going to die in 3 months. And she is beside herself with rage, with fear, with craving for something new. And she just can't wait to get out of there, to go to some real hospital where he can get some decent treatment, not this hodunk place in Chico, California, and freaking out. And I turned to the man, I'm in the room, and she's come back from their home to be with us this morning. And I turned to this man, he's a big old guy, middle class worker, sheet metal all his life. And I said, what have you been thinking, sir? And he looked at me, reached over with his big old hand and took my hand and had tears rolling down his cheeks. He said, I've been laying here all night long thinking that I haven't been a very good father, and I haven't been a very good husband. I've been laying here all night long thinking. And big tears rolling down his face. And his wife immediately piped out, how could you say such a thing? You've been the best husband and the best father. I said, excuse me, I hate to interrupt you, ma'am. But I wonder if I could ask you, how would you feel right now if you'd laid here all night long wondering, did I love well? You just got this diagnosis, this prognosis. Did I love well? Did I live well? What would you be thinking? She paused. She goes, oh my God, I'm so controlling. I'm only controlling because I love. Oh my God. And he took my hand again and smiled from ear to ear, and he said, thank you, thank you, thank you. And I said, what have you been thinking, sir? And he goes, well, I've been thinking. I've been given 3 months to show them. I've been given 3 months to show them. And you could watch her face drop because she knows they're not going off gallivanting to New York, to Cedar Sinai. She's not going to Stanford. He knows what he wants. He's been given a blessing of 3 months to pursue his own heart's greatest desire. I realized there was nothing more to be done there. Just at that moment, the transportation team came. I chased them away. We talked for a couple of moments more, bade them farewell. But I never forgot them, right? Now, you won't either. And these moments are the moments where we're living our lives. Pay attention to the moments, you guys. There's opportunities for gratitude everywhere. And the more you do it, if you can spend 5 minutes a day engaged with gratitude for anything, your brain's going to change. You're going to be happier, and you're going to be more at peace. So may it be so. May you be at peace. May the world be more at peace. May all beings be at peace.